Hey you guys. Um, Hi. um, we're home. We were allowed to come home from the hospital on Thursday, and we had been in the hospital since Sunday night. So we were so ready to get out of there. So I just kind of wanted to go over like everything that happened at the hospital. It was pretty crazy. So we went in at 5:30 on Sunday. Got all checked in and all that. They gave me Servidil, and I had to have that in for at least 12 hours. So I had that in all night. It didn't do a whole lot. It just kind of gave me cramps, like little cramps. I got checked the next day, and it was so painful. I know I say that every time when I'm talking about cervical checks, but this time, I guess because of the Servidil, you know, trying to soften things up, it made it so much more painful than usual. And I have a posterior, my cervix is posterior, so it was harder for my doctor to like get up in there. And so I'm not even joking when I say I cried. Like, I cried out because it hurt so much. And then I got my IV put in after that. They started Pitocin, which, by the way, the Servidil, it didn't give me any progress at all, not a centimeter, nothing. So yeah, they gave me my IV, which was fun. They pricked me 2 times and blew 2 veins, but yeah, they got it in eventually. And then, so they started the Pitocin, and they would up it, like every hour they would up it by 2, like 2 points or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what the correct term is for that, but, and so they had me up, I think, at like 10, and I really wasn't feeling anything. And so my doctor came back in, checked my cervix again. It wasn't as bad. He had me ball my fist and put it on my lower back, which kind of helped. And in the middle of checking my cervix, he pauses. Mind you, I'm like ready for him to get out. So anyway, he pauses and he's like, "Do you want us to break your water? Do you want to stop all of this and come back another day? Or like, what do you want me to do?" And I'm like, "Well, you're already up in there. You might as well just break my water, because what's the point of you being up there?" And who on earth goes through all that and decides, "I want to stop everything and go home and come back and do it all over again and hope for different results"? Who says that? So anyway, he broke my water. Again, super painful. I wish, like, nobody's ever told me that getting your water broke was painful. It was very painful. But yeah, he broke my water. After that, that's when I really, that's when I started really feeling the contractions, like they were really coming on, quick. So my nurse came in a little bit after that, and she had me sit up in my bed, and sit Indian style, just to kind of like help, I don't know, help things get moving. Sorry, totally flashing. And so, yeah, so I sat Indian style for a while, And then the contractions really started to get moving. And I wanted to make sure I had an epidural and it wasn't going to take them forever to get in my room to give me one. So I was just like, I asked my nurse, I was like, you know, can I get my epidural now? And so she had to go get basically permission from my doctor. She was basically like, he said that you need to progress more or they're gonna do a C-section. So she was basically like, so we're gonna get you up and moving around to try to get some progress, so they don't cut you. And I was like, oh crap. Like, the way she said that, I was like, okay. So I got up and started, walking around and squatting and doing all that. I did make progress. I believe she told me I was like a centimeter or two dilated after all that movement. So then I got my epidural. And my husband almost passed out. He had to be sat down and put his legs up. Yeah. Because epidurals are fun. I knew what to expect with the epidural because I've done my research, but my husband had no idea. So it's kind of on him. But got my epidural and it was amazing. Oh my gosh. It felt so good. It felt so good. I napped. And then the rest of the night, I just kind of like laid there, and every hour the nurse would come in and roll me over. Like, I just keep rolling over to each side because that was supposed to help the baby come down. And eventually I got stuck at a 7 or an 8. And my body was no longer, parts of my body was not responding to the epidural. They call them ghost spots, I think, where the epidural won't take all the pain away in that specific area necessarily. Started at my right side and then gradually made its way to my left and in both. And it was the contractions were 4 minutes apart and they'd last about 45 seconds to a minute each. And it was extremely painful. Oh my gosh. It was like, and I'd keep clicking the button for the epidural, to give myself medicine. And it still was not doing anything. So we were doing that for a while. Granted, my nurse is amazing. She knew I wanted a vaginal delivery and she tried everything she could to try and help me get that. But yeah, it came to a point where I wasn't progressing at all and I was just putting my body through extra stress that it didn't need. So I decided that a C-section would be better at that point. I could have kept going. I could have kept going, but the pain was just so bad. So they got us prepped and they rolled me back to the C-section room or the surgery room. They ended up putting a spinal block in my epidural. Something that's way more powerful. Oh my gosh. The anesthesiologist, she saw me in the other room crying when my epidural wasn't working anymore for my contractions, and she wanted to make sure that I was completely numb and pain-free during the C-section, which is appreciated because I don't think anyone wants to feel that. The spinal block actually made me really sick. As soon as they laid me down after, I puked all over. I mean, I projectile vomited all over my nurse. I felt so bad. But yeah, that medicine was intense. It worked. And surprisingly, I was not scared. I was just ready. I was just done. I was just like, let's just do this. Let's do this. Yeah. Then after they got me all prepped and everything, they brought my husband back. He sat down next to me. And then eventually they got my baby out. they got our Gabriel out and, you know, showed him, and they took him off, cleaned him, and then brought him back, and they gave him to my husband. He held him for a minute, and then he put him up to me, like right up to my face. And at that point, my husband, he almost passed out. He got really lightheaded. He said he wasn't really sure what caused it, because like it's not like he was looking at, you know, what they were doing. I think it was just I think he may have held his breath or something. But he got really lightheaded and nauseous and got sick, and they had to wheel him out. He felt really bad about that, but I mean, it wasn't his fault. They said that a lot of times guys do that. They just get nauseous and sick and pass out in the operating room. So yeah, they wheeled him back, and my mom was there in the room, like in the recovery room, and she saw him come in and was confused, and anyway, so they had me back there for a while. I lost track of time because I kind of like, I was preoccupied. They kept Gabriel up next to me, and you know, he was like wanting to eat. His eyes were wide open. He was alert since they pulled him out. So yeah, that was cool. And then they took him, you know, off. And I just kind of like fell asleep, I think. I don't really remember. I was really relaxed and just so tired. I had been up for almost over 24 hours at that point. My mom said it took them a long time for me to get me back to the recovery room, and she was worried, and she asked the nurse what was going on, and the nurse was like, yeah, the doctor is actually really meticulous in particular, very good at stitching, so he takes his time. So there was nothing to worry about. That's why it was taking a little longer. It was because he was stitching me up and taking his time. And my incision looks amazing, by the way. I'd show it, but I don't want to gross people out. It looks really good. No staples, no glue. He stitched from like the inside. So there's no stitches like on the outside except for like on the ends of the incision, which is crazy. Like, it's going to heal up, and I don't even think anyone's going to notice it. But yeah, they finished me up and rolled me on a bed, took me back to the recovery room. I held my baby in my arms, and I nursed him, which I was really like, at first they were like, do you want to nurse him? And I was like, I am so tired. And then like, they just kind of like put him on my boob, and he just kind of like did his thing. And it was just like weird. It was weird at first. I was so tired. I was just like, okay, well, all right, that's fine. So that's kind of what happened, and I was in recovery until Thursday when they let me go. And it was a crazy experience. So yeah, sorry, I got a text message and got distracted. The first couple of nights was hard because Gabe was cluster feeding, which basically just means sucking. Just like sucking, and I don't know, I can't put it any other way, but that's like what it was. Like, he just was sucking all night long, all night. I had to have the nurses take him for a few hours so I could sleep. But, you know, it was still a neat experience, though. Like, I don't know. I never thought I'd experience pregnancy. And then I got my, pregnancy or giving birth or having a C-section, which was my first surgery I've ever had other than getting my wisdom teeth taken out. Wednesday, I took my first shower. It was amazing. And I got to wear my clothes rather than a gown. I walked up and down the hallway with Gabe in his crib, just trying to get moving, because they were like, the more you get moving, the faster you can get out of here. So I was like, I mean, I wasn't going crazy. Like, there was no way. Like, the first couple days, I was still kind of I was really sore. So it's not like I was jumping off the walls. But I really wanted to make progress. So even though it was kind of painful, I made myself do it. And we were able to leave. Oh, man. And I've been feeling great, by the way. Like, for someone who had a C-section, like, I feel fantastic. I'm up and moving all the time. I pick up Gabe. He's 10 pounds, 4 ounces. So he's a big boy. So I carry him around and I do some light cleaning. I'm still on a limit on what I can do. I have restrictions. But I feel fantastic for someone who had a C-section. Like, it's been like a week now. What day is it? Today is Wednesday. I had my C-section Tuesday morning. Yeah, because he was born at 2:45 a.m. on Tuesday. Last Tuesday, the 26th. So yeah, about a week postpartum, and I feel great. I've already lost 32 pounds. 32 of that being Gabe. So, I've been breastfeeding like crazy, you could say. I have a very large, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm bragging or anything, because like this whole breastfeeding thing and like nursing is still like new to me, but like I have a very large supply, so I have to do a lot of extra things like pumping and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work, nursing, and not to mention, you know, he's a newborn, so he eats every 2-3 hours, sometimes every hour. It just depends on the day and how he's doing. So it's a lot of work, and that's another reason why I've been losing weight really quick, is nursing, which is kind of a bonus, you know. I was at 242 and now I'm at 210. So yeah, that's a huge difference. My pre-baby weight was 190. So, but he's doing great. He's sleeping right now in his little rock and play. Actually, he might be awake. He is like the chillest baby ever. I mean, I know he's only like a week old, but he is really chill. We got very lucky. He's my sweetheart. I never thought I'd love a human this much. I'm not even joking. Like, I never thought I was capable of loving someone this much. But yeah, doing that stay-at-home mom thing and just, yep, living the dream. I'm very glad I get to stay home with my son and see him grow. I know not a lot of people get to have that opportunity. I am so glad I'm not pregnant anymore. Oh, I feel so much like normal. Even after my surgery, like right after, even when the medicine wore off, I felt like $1,000,000. Pregnancy is not my favorite thing in the world. It was cool feeling him kick inside of me. I do kind of miss that a little bit, but man, he was a big one. He was a big one. My doctor was right. My doctor was right. And he let me know. He was like, yeah, I knew he would be this big. And yeah, I was just like, yeah. But he said he's glad that I tried anyway with the labor and everything. I've been getting really bad cramps. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the whole postpartum thing, I've been doing really good. I'm still like bleeding and everything. Sorry if that's TMI, but I'm still bleeding. And every once in a while I will get a very sharp cramp. Like very sharp. I'll just kind of like pause because it hurts so bad. And just like the other day I like screamed because it hurt so bad. I was like passing there were things that I was passing. Let's just put it, I'm going to leave it at that. And it was not enjoyable. It hurts. But other than that, postpartum's been fantastic. Fantastic. I am so happy things are going well. But that's my update. Wow, 20 minutes. So that's kind of like what happened in the hospital. I don't think I left anything really big out. But yeah. Thanks a lot, you guys. And I'm glad you're interested in what I have to say. And I'm glad you're interested in our story.